Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer, and I'm your host, Rob. This is the Age of Sigmar Stat Center. I'm here live with the Twitch chat. Now, I haven't done the Age of Sigmar Stat Center for a couple of weeks because I was prepping for the World Championships, I was at the World Championships, and then I was recovering from the World Championships. All of those streams can be found on the T-Sports Network Twitch and also the YouTube later this week. But my apologies for being away. I'm back now. Me and the chat are going to go through a host of events. It does look like we have over 52 events to go through today, which is significant. So I may not read out all the 4-1s because that might take me probably 12 hours. But there will be a blog post on the Oslo Hammer website, so you can go click them and go find all those lists for yourselves if you're interested. Pretty exciting news about Age of Sigmar as is. If you go over onto the Honest Wargamer stats, which are available for everyone as well on the honestwargamer.com. Well, the TSN stats, on the honestwargamer.com, organised by Rob and Ziggy. The thing to talk about is that we currently have, for this GHB alone, 110 tournaments. These are 2-day tournaments, 110 in there, 9,700 matches. What is really exciting about this, if you're an Age of Sigmar player or if you're looking to get into Age of Sigmar, is that this is a huge reshoot. This is a huge uplift from last year, where probably by the end of the year we're going to hit 300 events for Age of Sigmar, where last year we did 200. So a 50% uptick is pretty incredible. Loads more players in there, loads more communities in there as well. We have events in China, Philippines, Peru, Mexico, Northern Ireland. So like loads of like exotic and far-flung places. So that means the community is growing, which is great. More games, which is great. And more friends, which we love to see. So we're going to get through all of the 5-0s and 4-1s now. I hope you enjoy the show. If you do enjoy the show, then obviously you could join us in the chat. That's my favourite thing for you to do. And come and hang out. We're live Monday through to Friday, 11 a.m. till whenever. Or you can support the show on Patreon, which would be great. Right, here we go. The first event we are going to look at is the Mancunian Carnage. Happened a couple of weeks ago and had 74 players playing. This was located in England at Element Games. Now, the event was on stats and ladders, and the ladder, which is interesting because it's called Stats and Ladders, isn't available. This means it doesn't chronologically order it doesn't order the lists and also the players via like wins and everything else. So I'm just not going to go through it because it's just a faff that would take me hours, and I have a lot more events to do. But if you are running events like that, and you would like us to read them out on the show, please do finalise your standings so that we can do that sort of work. Otherwise, probably just won't bother doing it. But to shout out the players that did really well at the event, Mike Stewart and Russ Veal both went 5-0. Congratulations to both those two players. And in the 4-1 bracket, it was Farron Terry, Owen Jackson, James Harrison, Malcolm Price, Matthew Davies, Tom Marshall, and Ben Curry. So congratulations to all of those. I would like to shout out my wonderful friend Rob, who does the stats, who came 13th at the event. Great shout out to him. I was able to find his list. He was running Soulbight, Gravelords, Legions of Blood, Vampire and Zombie Dragon, with of course the Doom Minions and Mist and Shadows. I probably will have to say that a lot over the course of this, so I'll just be specific. Doom Minions is a command trait that allows you to pick, is it three enemy units, and then as long as they're not heroes and monsters, and you get to hit them on 2s with all of your army. And then the artifact of Cloak, Mist and Shadows is a 3-up unrendable armor save, which is pretty cool. Then he took the Vampire Lord with the artifact, the Amulet of Screams, which is actually pretty decent, and I'd like to see in more lists, which is every time you cast a spell, you take mortal wounds. Love to see it. 30 Death Rattle Skeletons, which I'm a huge fan of. 10 Death Rattles, 10 Blood Knights. Obviously, they're really, really good, along with Neferata also in the list. Neferata's got a spell to give you an unrendable armor save, but you can no longer add positives to that via the FAQ, and then a Corpse Cart, because the Corpse Cart is legit. Anyway, congratulations to everyone at Carnage, you did really well. Apologies, I haven't read your list out. I hope you don't take it personally. It's just, it needs to be in a more functional system for me to do so. On to the next event. Our next event is the Moonshine Noches, which was 37 players playing in Mexico, in Tijuana. I've definitely got that wrong, how I've said that, but there you go. It was organised by No Aquino. Shout out to him. And we had two 5-0s from the event. We had a Guild of Summoners, Disciples of Tzeentch army, run by Shane Lambert, and then Gareth Thomas with the Blades of Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance army. Now, there's a really fun thing. Disciples of Tzeentch, Guild of Summoners, just in case you're unaware, sub-faction, you can summon a Lord of Change for 9 points to start with and 18 points after with your fate points, which you generate, which is what they do. Then you've got Kara's Fate Weaver, cast 3 spells, generate fate points. Ogre Thermitage with the Tusk Helm, so he's going to be doing mortal wound impact hits when he fights in, because he's kind of like a fighty mage. He's kind of like a fighting combat foot hero who's also a wizard, or not that survivable, but he's got the Tusk Helm and also Tunnel Master, so he can do a deep strike, or he can do a teleport across the board, and then obviously with your Tzeentch dice, and not for like with your Tzeentch dice, can pick the result of a charge, and then the Tusk Helm obviously will do mortal wounds based on the result of that charge. Then Gaunt Summoner on disc with the Demon Spark for generating extra fate points for summoning. The Blue Scribes, and then 3 lots of 10 Carrick Acolytes. And it's sort of like, okay, I mean, you don't see the Gaunt Summoner loads, definitely don't see the Ogre Thermitage loads, and Tunnel Master and Tusk Helm's a fun and cute combo. I love that. Basically do a teleport, roughly do 6 mortal wounds on the charge. It's pretty fun. Love to see it. And then he's got a Muteless Vortex Beast. Like an absolute badass. Doing mortal wounds at 18 inches up to d6 mortal wounds, and maybe creating spawn. Then he's got the Demonic Simulacrum, Burning Sigil of Tzeentch, which creates more spawn, does more mortal wounds, and Ravanax Gnashing Jaws, which also does mortal wounds. And then to finish it all off, he's got 6 Zangor Enlightened on foot, non-disc, on foot, because they're 180 points, which again is a very unique little combat unit. Which is very interesting. So a really interesting list. The combo between that he's got on the Ogroid is actually really cute. The Tusk Helm Tunnel Master, you really like to see it. And then having a Vortex Beast is just really, really cool. Now, Gareth, in his Allegiance Khorne army, so his Khorne army, was running the Reapers of Vengeance. Now, Gareth has actually done super lovely. Gareth has done something really lovely, which I think I'd quite like to see other people do when they submit their lists. What he's done is he's written a note next to his abilities, and instead of just like using whatever the name is. So, for instance, he's put that he's a Reapers of Vengeance subfaction, and then he's put that gives you +1 to hit against heroes, and hero kills give +1 blood tithe, which is the mechanic that you get for Khorne. When you play Khorne, you get a blood tithe mechanic, which lets you move models in the hero phase, lets you fight in the hero phase, lets you summon units. It's kind of your like tech that you have in a Khorne army, and he's written that in, which is just lovely to see. Other than that, he's got a Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster, and again, he's written that his artifact gives him always strikes first. He's got a command trait that makes him a priest. He has a prayer that lets him move in the hero phase, another prayer that gives +1 rend to a unit. He has a Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury, or as we call it, a Boom Thirster, Scarbrand, then a Slaughter Priest with Tunnel Master, a Ritualist, and the Scarblood Wrath. Then 3x5 Fleshhounds and 3 Mighty Skull Crushers. Then the Wrath Axe and the Bleeding Icon. So lovely to see the formatting. Other than that, there's obviously just some big power pieces. The Fleshhounds are built to screen, and then using all of the Blood Tithe mechanics that you can generate in a Khorne army, it's about moving in the Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury and Scarbrand for doing maximum damage and hopefully wiping your opponent out, I think is kind of the trick with this list. So those are all the 5-0s. Let's move on to the 4-1s. In fact, I got that wrong. Just FYI for people that were listening. The Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury isn't the Boom Thirster. Scarbrand is. Sorry, the other ones are like tech pieces. I apologise for making bigger charges. So just to correct myself mid-recording. In the 4-1 bracket, Taron Burke was running Blades of Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance. Kyle Clip was running Soulblight Gravelords, and Ian McLeese was running Carriage and Overlords. Ian was running more of a combat Carriage and Overlords list, which was really fun to see. Kyle Clip was running a bunch of zombies, and then Taron was running a Khorne army again, but this time 2 Skull Cannons, some Fleshhound battle line, and then Scarblood Wrath, Realmgore Ritualist, and then Scarbrand and the Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury. So twice we've seen that combo now, with a big 3d6 charge on a big power piece like Scarbrand for some big damage. Congratulations to everyone at the event. Oh, the event was also located... I've lost the... It looked like it was in a great place. So I'm excited to go to my first event in Mexico, so let me know when the next one is, please and thanks. The next event is the SAGT. This had 32 players and happened in Australia. But again, the ladder is not visible, so I can't go through the list. So shout out to Mark Nodge getting a 5-0. Congratulations to him. John McGrath, Adam Williamson, Kwang Kevang, Carl Murray, and Kieran Coates all getting the 4-1s at the event. Hope you had a lovely time, and I hope the SAGT was wonderful. At our next event, we had 31 players playing in the USA, specifically in Florida, at the Bloody Beach GT. The Bloody Beach GT, organised by Chris Bagnall. And our event was taken out by Matthew Powell, no relation to James Powell, I don't think. And he was running Carriage Overlords Barrack Zilfin. He had a Carriage Overlords army, he had an Archanaut Admiral, a Navigator. He had the Commander X Grundstruck, obviously, which makes Thunderer's battle line. A Navigator, a Code Writer, a Chemist, and then a unit of Thunderers, a big unit of 15 Thunderers, an Archanaut Frigate, a Gun Hauler, and an Ironclad. And then 2 cheeky units of Engine Riggers in the list as well, which is quite cute. You'll love to see. Obviously being able to heal those boats. Then in the 4-1 bracket, we had Chris Hautling with his Greenspike Gits Mega Mob. So love to see that. A bunch of trolls. Whitney Fairchild with Soulblight Gravelords. And then Stormcast Eternals run by Joss Wheeler. And then Alexander Heimerdinger from League of Legends using Osiark Bone Reapers. Which is fun. So congratulations to all of those people. Our next event is the War Games for Warriors event, organised by Paragon City War Games, being held here at the multi-level marketing company Young Living Essential Oils. Inside, though, there was like a waterfall at this event, which is pretty awesome. Like, so cool, I guess. And at the event, we didn't have any 5-0s, unfortunately. But what we did have was we had a couple of 4-1s, and we had Dan Helwig with his Heathen Knights to Slanesh army, and then Aaron Daly with Soulblight Gravelords, John Tanner with his Sylvaneth, all doing quite well. So we're just going to take a moment to look at the lists. The Heathen Knights to Slanesh army had Glutos or Scullion, a Contorted Epitome with the Strength of Godhood and the Crown of Dark Secrets. That's an AoE aura. The Crown of Dark Secrets is actually really, really good. It's an AoE aura debuff that reduces the number of melee attacks your opponent has down to 1, which is very, very effective. So you can use that to kind of like create a castle defensive screen behind some of your like other units. And then a Lord of Pain. And then 33 Blitzbarb Archers in 3 units of 11. And then the Famous Slanesh, then some Stickblade Seekers, a Simbramesh Twin Souls, 2 units of 5 of those, and a unit of Blitzbarb Seekers. So a mixed forced army where you're able to shoot with the Seekers, either Blitzbarb Archers or the Blitzbarb Seekers, to do a bunch of damage as it comes in and generate depravity. And then the other units can go in and fight and then make sure that they ignore the attacks from your opponent thanks to the Crown of Dark Secrets. And Glutos or Scullion is just a legitimate monster combat unit. 480 points, charging in, doing loads of damage. Very, very effective. Then you've got Soulblight Gravelords for the Vikos Dynasty with Kado, Radikar, Vampire Lord, a White King, and a Necromancer. And then some Death Rattle Skeletons, some Deadwalker Zombies, some Graveguard, 20 Graveguards, sorry, and then 2 units of 5 Blood Knights and a Corpse Guard. Normally you see those units of Blood Knights as a 10. But in this case you didn't see it, but you also didn't see Neferat or anything like that. So instead you got Kado and Radikar in there being their frontline combat units, and then those Deadwalker Zombies and Desperate Skeletons screening out for the Graveguard and Blood Knights to do a load of damage. Congratulations to, and the finalist, Sylvaneth was Oakenbrow, Durthu, Warsong Revenant, Tree Lord Ancient, 2 units of 5 Tree Revenants and 3 Tree Lords. We've talked about this a lot already. They're able to fight at the top bracket when they're in Oakenbrow until they've taken 13 wounds, the Tree Lords and Durthu. That makes Durthu just a much more aggressive combat character because he's got Great Rend 3, damage 6, and then the Greenwood Gladiator, he gets to add extra attacks onto his attack profile. So he is just a 350 point legitimate combat monster, and those are generally quite rare nowadays. The Tree Lords are really tough to battle because they can make you always strike last. And then the Warsong Revenant doing spells through the trees thanks to Spellsinger, and just being the great combat piece, the great support piece that you need for your combat orientated army. Our next event takes us over to New Zealand for the Aotearoa New Zealand Age of Sigmar Masters 2023. They had 18 players playing, and this was a Masters event, so this would have been all the players that did really, really well at their in their local community or in New Zealand, and they would have been invited to the Masters. And it was located here at the Hobby Master Event Centre in Auckland. and it was organised by Jess Lee. Shout out to Jess. Now, first place, we have Jimmy Page with 4 and a draw. Jimmy was part of the Australian Age of Sigmar Worlds team, and in this time he was playing Disciples Zinch, Guild of Summoners. He actually wrote his list as Jimmy, I wish I was playing KO Page. He's running Disciples Zinch, Guild of Summoners. I've talked about that already. Summon Lords Change, Changecaster, Curseling, Magister, Contorted Epitome as a cheeky ally in there as well, which I think is quite clever, especially because of their spell to give +1 to wound, which I think is really good. And then 20 Pink Horrors, which is 100 wounds, 10 Karak Acolytes, 10 Karaklites, 10 Zangort, and 10 Skyfires, Burning Sigil, Ravenex Session Jaws, and Demonic Simulacrum. We just had a conversation off air about this, me in the chat, and we talked about the fact that Zinch just do battle tactics and grand strategies really well. They don't have to engage, and they're a castle that sits well, and if you make a mistake, they're going to beat you up. They are strong on the primary, and they have some easy to achieve battle tactics and also grand strats. So they score points well. That's why it's one of the most popular armies you saw at the Age of Sigmar World Championships. They score points very easily, and they're very tough to stop scoring points, which means even if you're going to lose, you don't lose by much. And it only requires you to drop a battle tactic for yourself or not hold an objective for a couple of turns, and then the Zinch army will overtake you. So well, and Jimmy's also a phenomenal player, so well done to him. Shout out to James Struthers with his Beast of Chaos Darkwalkers going 4-1, and Sam Smith with his Goonspike Gits also going 4-1 at the Masters. Should be super proud of themselves. Well done to both of them. Our next event is in Sweden. It's the Age of Sigmar Lincoln event. And we had 3 4-1s. We had Linus Kingfors running his Sinesh Pretenders army, Contorted Epitome, Lord of Pain, The Mask, and Be'lakor. Best pick. Then 22 Blitzbarb Archers, 2 units of 11, 5 Seekers, and some 6-Blade Seekers and Blitzbarb Seekers as well. So not indifferent to many of the lists that we saw play at Worlds, and also lists that we're going to see play constantly. Someone in the chat did ask, when is someone going to work out a different Sinesh army? I think that's going to be quite hard as well, because the Contorted Epitome is such an incredible utility piece. It's an auto-include and is so very, very strong. Blitzbarb Archers are your battle line, which are, and I've talked about this a lot, shooting is just a more effective, or missile units, sorry, are just a much more effective way of projecting power than melee units. And I did that in one of my masterclass videos you can go find on the Honest Wargamer. I think the one where I was talking about the top 10 sharpshooters. It's worth talking about that and the projection of power, because there's loads to talk about there. So yeah, great list. Then you've got Carl Edgenar with Scarlet Doom, and he is running Nighthaunt, Guiding Souls, Crewgrass Cruciator, and then some Bladegeist Revenants, 20, and then 3 units of 10s, and some Spirit Hosts, and then the Banshees. The Banshees stop spells, which is quite nice seeing them in there as well. I think they're going to come in very clutch, especially when we see all of the Seraphon hit the table, which I think is quite interesting. And the Bladegeist Revenants do mortal wounds when they charge in. That's very good, especially in some of the major top threats, specifically things like Khorne, and also into things like KO. So yeah, pretty cool list. And then you've got Wide Peterson, and he was running a real funky Flesh Eater Corpse list. And Abhorrent Art Regent, who was the general, and then an Abhorrent Ghoul King, and then he had 2 big Abhorrent Ghoul Kings of Royal Terrorgeists, and then 2 Varghulf Courtiers, and some minimum Crypt Ghouls in his list. My assumption is, if the 2 big monsters do lots of damage, he screens with the Crypt Ghouls, and then he uses all of the characters to do maximum summoning, really relying on the Ghoul Kings on Terrorgeist to do a ton of output. Don't forget that they do have the Strike Twice effect, which I think is very interesting. So overall, some cool lists coming out of Sweden. And it was held here at the Game Castle, located very handily next to, as always, a weed store and a martial arts dojo just round the corner. Now, the event was won by, congratulations, by a Skaven army, piloted by Nicholas Turpin. And in the list was Thankwall on Bone Ripper, Warlock Engineer, who's the general, then 2 units of 20 Clan Rats and a unit of 9 Storm Fiends. And then Lakwon the Soul Seeker, some Rattling Guns and a Warp Grinder. Of course, those Storm Fiends get all of the buffs to make it so they do tons of damage, and the Clan Rat's job is to screen them out. Thankwall with his Warpfire Projectors are really good into hordes and do lots of mortal wounds, if you can protect him from other units charging him in, which is very, very good. So big congratulations to him. and some rattling guns, and also some warp grinders. That's brilliant. Then Demian Daz got the 4-1 for his Iron Neth Deepkin Iron Rack. It's nice to see Iron Neth Deepkin doing so well. So Damian, that's a big shout out. And those are all of the players. Well, that's all the results from that event. Our next event is the Iron Weld GT. And this Iron Weld had 57 players at the event. So congratulations. And the event was won by, let me just find out. Ooh, drum roll, everyone in the chat. Anthony Lawrence going 5-0 with his Pretenders hosts Sinesh Army. And Derek Perham with the 4 and a draw with Soulbight Gravelords Legion of Blood Army. The Sinesh Army was Pretenders, the sub-faction where you get lots of CP, and also you get to do lots of command abilities. There's Contort Epitome, Shard Speaker of Sinesh, and the Mask. Contort Epitome, obviously that buff piece. Shard Speaker of Sinesh in there as well for the -1 save. And then the Mask, obviously with that like little Alpha Strike, like Deep Strike, which is quite fun. Blitzbarb Archers, 10 Demonettes, then 10 Mimradesh Painbringers, which is quite fun. 20 wounds on a 3-up armor save. They can have +1 save from their War Scroll as well as other sources, so pretty survivable, especially if you do get all of the points up on the depravity table, so that they're then -1 to hit, doing mortals and 6s to hit, and a 5-up ward save. Then 2 units of 5 Sickblade Seekers, 1 unit of 5 Sickblade Seekers and a unit of 5 Blissbarb Seekers. A Cockatrice, so then you can put those behind the Painbringers to make it so that you can only hit them on 6s. 10 Ungor and 6 Furies as well. So a nice variety of units there, actually. Really mixing up some little key pieces to do some additional things in matchups, which you really like to see, especially the Furies, the Ungor, and the Cockatrice. So actually super cool. And I saw Black Gravelords. This has got Neferata, a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, some Skeletons, and then some Blood Knights, a big unit of 10, and a Corpse Cart. So I think a lot of people are really enjoying those Death Rattle Skeletons now. They're very, very scary because they're skeletons, but also because their ability to heal back into units so commonly and often is so good. So shout out to those guys. And we'll move on to the 4-1s. 4-1s, Nate Trentinelli was running the Nighthaunt Emerald Host. Corey Begley was also running Nighthaunt. Anthony Trentinelli was running Slaves to Darkness. Sam Gould was running Beast of Chaos. Tom Ling was running Soulblight Gravelords. And Sam Morgan was running the Lethician Defenders. Travis Pearson was running Stormcast Eternals. And then Austin Farnham was running Stormcast Eternals. Congratulations to all of them on doing so well at these events. Super proud of you. Hope you had a lovely time. Our next event is the BAO. 48 players battled it out on the coast of the USA to become the champion of the BAO. 48 players. It was held at a Marriott hotel, I think, looking at it. It was organised by John Fuhlman, and the winner of the event was a lovely man. I'm a huge fan. Benjamin Hoskins with his Slaves to Darkness army. And he's got a great list. He's got a Kabbalist army with a Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince as the general, making him the Idolater Lord. And he's got the Conqueror's Crown. He's got a Dark Oath War Queen and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Dark Oath War Queen is 100 points with Tunnel Master, so I think that's for a first turn battle tactic. But then he's got 2 units of Corvus Cabal that can deep strike and grab objectives. He's got 2 units of 9 Untamed Beasts, which can pre-game move, cap objectives. Then he's got 2 units of 30 Splintered Fang, which have an amazing amount of melee output, especially in mortal wounds. And then he's got a unit 10 Splintered Fang, and then a unit of the Unmade. All backed up by 2 Chaos Gargants and 2 Mind Stealer Phalanxes. Now, the Chaos Gargants are going to reduce the save of the enemy, and the Splintered Fang, then who do a lot of attacks, are more likely to get more of their attacks through. And reducing the save of the enemy, I think, stacks, which I think is fun. All of these units also, when they die, they can come back to life at half strength, obviously, thanks to being in the Ravagers sub-faction. So, a really interesting and dynamic list going 5-0. You absolutely love to see it. It's brilliant. And then our other 5-0 from the event was Noah Aquino. Having already organised an event this weekend in Mexico, he also went to the BAO and 5-0'd at that event as well. This man is so multi-facet talented. He's got so many arrows in fires and in his quiver and all things. Irons in a fire, arrows in a quiver. He's full of them. So congratulations to him. And he's running a Fireslayer's Greyfield army with a Rune Master, a Rune Smiter, a Battlesmith, and this double Flamekeeper. An Auric Rune Father, and he's got some Hearthguard Berserkers and some Volkite Berserkers as well. So he's got 4 units of 10. 3 units of 10. And so he's just got like some really good hammer units in his 2 units of Hearthguard. Instead of going for 1 unit of 15, he's gone to 2 units of 10. Which means he can distribute where he puts his power, especially good if Be'lakor gets used. And he's got the Volkite Berserkers, which obviously benefit from the sub-faction in his list. And then he's got a Grimwrath Berserker and a Doomseeker. So, pretty cool overall. And you're seeing more of these little Galician champions making into these Fireslayers list. Whether or not they will in the next GHB is a great question. Moving on, to the 4-1s. You've got Christopher Schelling with his Goonswag Gits getting a 4-1. Matt the Nuge getting with his Beast of Chaos Darkwalkers army going 4-1 and only losing the final game. Colin Venables with his Blades of Khorne army, Skullfiend Tribe going 4-1. Matthew Hunt with his Ossiarch Bone Reapers army getting a 4-1. Eugene Averin with his Goonspike Gits. Brian Downey with his Carriage and Overlords. Rick Ferreira with his Ossiarch Bone Reapers, all getting the 4-1s at the event. Congratulations to all of you. I hope you had a lovely time. Our next event was the Motor City Mayhem event being held in Grand River Avenue, Novi, Michigan, organised by Tim Farnham. Shout out to Tim. And then here's a picture of it. It's unfortunately not located near any martial arts dojos, but that's a different thing. The event was won by Michael Roush, or Swaggy Shadow Sword as I know him, with his Ossiarch Bone Reapers Praetorians army. He has Catacross, a Liege Cavalos, a Morrison Bone Shaper, and then he has 6 units of Cavalos Death Riders, and then a unit of 6 Immortis Guard, all in a battle regiment. So the Death Riders do mortal wound impact hits when they charge in, which is very, very effective. They can also get into the area of the enemy where using their Death Rider wedge to get into other sections with a 6-inch pile-in, which is really cool as well. Catacross is going to give them more +1 save, so you're looking at 75 wounds with a 3-up armor save and a 6-up ward. Can sometimes be a 5-up ward as well. So very, very strong in hitting the enemy, doing a lot of attacks, then retreating and doing some more attacks later, which is good. And then the Immortis Guard are just going to run around with Catacross, doing loads of damage and also being very tough to kill. So it's just an incredibly high armor save army with good output that can be really fast if it really wants to be. And just does a lot of damage. So big congratulations to Michael. He did say, he was like, I'm going to go all in on the Death Riders. And not only did he do it, he also won events with it. So congratulations to him. In the 4-1 bracket, though, we had a bunch more players doing really well. We had Nick Carr with his Flesh Eater Courts, Nicholas True with his Carriage and Overlords, Jeff Campbell Crawley, I think probably playing with his Sylvaneth, Jack Carwood with his Host of Snesh, Jack Myers with his Flesh Eater Courts, Christian Ware with his Gloom Spike Gits. Congratulations to all those players. Someone has done the ladder this time. So Mark Nodge won the event. Congratulations to you with his Carriage and Overlords, Barak Urbaz. He had an Arcanaut Admiral, a Chemist, and another Chemist. Then 15 Thunderers, 5 Thunderers, a Gun Hauler, and then 10 Arcanaut Company, an Ironclad, and the Soul Screen Bridge in a bottle. You bridge over 15 Thunderers, you move 15 Thunderers in a boat, you shoot everyone as much as you can. That's how you do it. Well done to Mark Nodge. In the 4-1 bracket, you had Kieran Coates doing 4-1 with Skaven, which is awesome. Carl Murray with his Iron Jaws, John McGrath with his Stormcast Eternals, Adam Williamson with his Blaze of Khorne, and then Kwang Kevang with his Maggot Kin of Nurgle. Congratulations to all those players. I hope you had a wonderful time at the event. Our next event was the Battle in the Smoky Mountains AOS GT, run with 22 players. The event was organised by Stephen Valley, and it was located at the Ace Miller Golden Gloves Arena, I'm pretty certain, in the lovely little town here, which is pretty nice, on top of the Smoky Mountains. You can play Aikido, or you can do Aikido nearby, 2 miles away, so that's handy. The event was won by John Anderson. He went 5-0 with his Lumineth Realm Lords Helon list. It had tech lists, it had Sentinels, it had some Wardens, and it had a Rune of Petrification and all the stuff you would expect to see in a techless Helon castle, which does lots of extra shooting. Then Josh Bennett with his Host of Pretenders Hostess / Pretenders host list got the 4-1. Cameron Fields with Silver Netherlist got a 4-1. Frederick Schmidt with Carriage and Overlords got the 4-1 as well. Congratulations to all of them. Hope they had a lovely time. Well done. Our next event was in the UK. In fact, it was where I'm recording this video right now, at the TSN Arena here in Nottingham. We hold events all the time. Search on Eventbrite for The Honest Wargamer if you want to join us for our events. Our event was won by Hazel Moon, running the Lethician Defenders. But in fact, she wasn't running Lethician Defenders. She was running Ogres, or the Monster Trucks. She was running a Huskarl on Thunder Tusk, a Frosthorn Stonehorn, and then 3 Stonehorns and a Thunder Tusk Beast Riders in her list as well. So doing lots of mortal wounds because of the Blood Vultures, and then just sending the Monster Trucks forward. In the 4-1 bracket, you had Dayton Obrey with his Blades of Khorne travelling over from Canada to play. He did really, really well, and it was a wonderful little event, and I had a lovely time. Our next event is the Birmingham GT, obviously held in Birmingham. It had 12 players playing, and it was a golden ticket event. So you got to go to the World Championships of Age of Sigmar if you could beat the other 12 players. And it was won by Mr. Matthew Gouldsborough, running a Soulbight Gravelord's army from Legion of Blood. Neferata, Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, Luca Vi, and then Cryptgas Courtier. 3 units of 10 Deathrock Skeletons, and then some Blood Knights. This is obviously pre-FAQ, so he's going to be able to redeploy loads of those units. Obviously, he's got an unrendable Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. Lots of his units hit on 2s. He can make the Blood Knights have an unrendable save as well. Just very effective and very competent. And Matt is a brilliant player. Then Chris Robertson got a 4-1 with his Soulblight Gravelord's army as well. Congratulations to all of those and everyone at the Birmingham GT. While at the Age of Sigmar World Championships, there was a 150-person Age of Sigmar event, and it was a singles event. So the team championships happened on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then there was 2-day singles event before with 150 players, which is amazing. Which meant we ended up with 4 5-0s from the event. And we streamed all of those games, so those games will be available to watch. They're already available to watch on twitch.tv/the T-Sports Network, and they'll be available to watch later in the week on the T-Sports Network YouTube if you want to go check it out. And we covered most of these games being played. Yorin, who won the event, was running Gloomspite Gits with 2 units of 36 Squig Herd, and then just all of the parts that you need for a very typical Gloomspite Gits list. Ronya was also running Gloomspite Gits with exactly the same thing, and then Lucas Kaluza, although Ronya's was, I think, a Squig Herd down and she had more support pieces. Lucas Kaluza in 4th place, who's German but was representing Team Greece, he also was running Squigs. So it was 3 Jaws of Mork armies in 1st, 2nd, and 4th. However, in 3rd place, Vladislav Turazov was running a Blades of Khorne army with loads of Blood Warriors, which was really excellent to see. He had a Bloodsecrator, Bloodthirster, and Fetid Fury, a Bloodmaster, a Rumgor Ritualist, and Be'lakor, and 30 Blood Warriors, and then 10 Blood Reavers and 8 Claws of Karnak. And there was some incredible games streamed, especially from Vlad, but also the other players as well. Yorin playing a masterful game into Nighthaunt at one point, and they were all covered. So really good list, but they're all the same kind of Jaws and Mork Squigs stuff, so you don't need to go through it loads. But there was also loads of 4-1s, obviously. Great players like Danny Elfstead, Nicholas Rasso, Morten Winkle, Jonas Am, Michael Attali, Andrea Epis, representing Italy, Andrea Epix, really. Colin Clarine, representing Germany, Hadrian Turin. All these went 4-1. Because it was a massive singles event, 150 players of some of the best players in the world. So just a very brilliant environment. And Squigs came out on top at that event, and that's probably worth talking about later on. Our next event was the Armed Forces Day 6, organised over in Lockport, Illinois, organised by Patrick Gannon. Had 40 players attending. The event was won by Jake Catchy Muir with his Oceanic Bone Reapers No Myriad list. So don't forget that they've got a 2+ spell ignore, which is going to be very, very good into upcoming threats like Seraphon and existing threats like Teclis, and also Tzeentch, which is pretty good. He's got Arcan the Black in the list as well, so just in case the spelling, in case the spell ignore isn't good. Oh yeah, it was also organised at the Veterans of Foreign Wars place. I think place is the right, like lodge. Something like that. Arcan the Black is in the list, so obviously he's got a good ability to unbind spells as well, because he's got pluses to do that. A great spellcaster in of himself. A Bone Shaper with the Aura of Sterility to reduce shooting down, and the Artifact to power the Artisan's Key, which means you're going to be able to bring back additional either Stalkers or the Mortis Guard, which is what they're really designed to do. So between the Bone Shaper and between the Bone Shaper, Arcan, and Catacross, there's a potential to bring back 4 models into an Mortis Guard unit in one battle round, which is in one hero phase, which is pretty crazy, to be honest. And then in the list, so Arcan, Bone Shaper, and Catacross, +1 save for everyone from Catacross. Necropolis Stalkers, unit of 3, a unit of 2 Morghast Archai, a unit of 6 Immortis Guard, and a unit of 1 unit of 5 Death Riders, and the Nightmare Predator. So not lots of board presence, but that board presence is incredibly survivable, has a natural immunity to spells and spell damage, and is really good in a melee fight, and also reduces the effectiveness of shooting down from the opponent as well. So actually really, really clever, very, very strategic. In the 4-1 category, you had Mr. Pajama Pants with his Kharadron Overlords, Barak Zilfin, Jake Bentrup with his Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Mortis Praetorians, and then John Oating with his Blades of Khorne, Skullfiend Tribe, and then Austin Timmick with his Cruel Boys, Grinning Blades, going 4-1. That's incredible. There's a Snatcher Boss on Sodraker, Swamp Caller Shaman on Potgrot, and he had 3 of those, and then a Killer Boss on Great Nashtooth, 20 Gut Rippers, 10 Gut Rippers, 10 Hogrot Slitters, and then 3 units of 6 Manskewer Bolt Boys. That's amazing. It's legitimately going 4-1 with that is brilliant. He should be super proud of himself. Massive congratulations there. And then Nicholas True, Kharadron Overlords, going 4-1. William Stanford, BC Chaos, going 4-1. And then Kevin Engel with his Ogre More Tribes, Meat Fist Army, going 4-1. Congratulations to all the people. Hope they had a great time. And a special shout out to that 4-1. That was really impressive for the Cruel Boys. Our next event was the Quest of Champions GT Heat 3 with 42 players happening in England. Now, the TO, super lovely guy called Dan, keeps putting the wrong address on Best Coast Pairings, and he keeps directing everyone in the world to go to this bungalow located in Sutton-on-Ashfield as the venue for the event. And it isn't. It's actually a very lovely venue called Sanctuary Wargames. But until he addresses the fact that he keeps putting the address in wrong, I'm going to keep saying that the event happened in this bungalow. So there you go. Anyway, the event was won by Peter Twig with his Blades of Khorne army. And he was running the sub-faction The Flayed. He had a Slaughter Priest, a Rumgor Ritualist, a Bloodthirster and Fete of Fury, a Blood Secretor. Then he had 2 units of 10 Blood Warriors, some Flesh Hounds, and then 2 units of 3 Mighty Skull Crushers. The movement, as Khorne quite rightly shouts out, out of phase movement for the out of phase movement god. Khorne are able to move in the hero phase a lot, and then pin units in, and that works really well, especially in your opponent's turn when doing that with Mighty Skull Crushers as an example, because they're 2-up armor save, or Blood Warriors because of their very good armor save as well. Add into the fact that you can do 3d6 charges from the Bloodthirster and Fete of Fury, and you've got the and also you've got the ability to add on to their armor save. You've got an army that can pin you in, fight you on objectives, and it's going to be very hard to get rid of them. They're very good against prayers, and they have a lot of abilities to take objectives or move in turns where you weren't expecting. So very interesting army. So congratulations to Peter. Really good job. In the 4-1 bracket, Rory Carter was also playing Blades of Khorne, but he was running Bloodlords. Have to say, one of the most diverse armies that we're seeing on the tabletop right now. Lots of different units being played for Khorne. Gary Percival with his Blades of Khorne army also did really well. Daniel Scott with his Kharadron Overlords army went 4-1. Mike Stewart with his Firesayers army went 4-1. Matt Pardo with his Blades of Khorne army went 4-1. Thomas Wainwright with his Soulblight Gravelords went 4-1. And then Farron Key, Twitch Terry TV with his Soulblight Gravelords going 4-1. A special congratulations to him as he's one of the chat. I hope everyone had a lovely time at the event. Our next event is the AOS Buggy GT with 32 players playing in the United States of America. There was the event was organised by Matt Shantz. Shout out to Matt. I hope you had a lovely time. And in first place was Keegan Graves using Skaven, which is not a list I normally read out in the 5-0 bracket, so congratulations to him. They don't have sub-factions because their book is copy and pasted from the Age of Sigmar 1 book that they got. They had a Verminlord Warbringer, a Warlock Bombardier, and he's got the artifact, the File of the Fulminator. Now, this is always spicy when I see that being the artifact, because that means Doom Wheels, baby. He's got a Grey Seer, Thanquol, obviously, and another Grey Seer. So lots of spells. 3 units of 20 Clan Rats, and then 2 Doom Wheels in the house. 2 Doom Wheels in the house. Now, don't forget, Doom Wheels can be very fast, and they've got a pretty medium shooting profile, but they've got the ability to move over infantry units and do mortal wounds, and they can go incredibly fast with the Vial of the Fulminator, so they can literally block in their opponent, which I think is really, really fun, and you love to see it. So, lovely, lovely stuff, Keegan. At the rest of the event, Raymond Lane went 4-1 with his Maggotkin army. Cole Nutston went 4-1 with the Soulblight Gravelords. Travis Boyson went 4-1 with his Slaves to Darkness army. And then Eric Wilson with Soulblight Gravelords army went 4-1. Massive congratulations to all those players. The next event we're going to look at is the Texas Masters GT, organised by Austin Weird Knobs. The Weird Knobs Collective have a YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and also they have a website you can go check out. They make lots of really good resources for Age of Sigmar, like sheets you can print out, tournament packs and other stuff. They're a wicked little collective of people, so shout out to the Weird Knobs guys. They held the Texas Masters. This is where they'll get the best performing players from around Texas. Don't forget, there are more people living in Texas than live in Australia. And they'll get them together, and then they'll pitch them against each other. I think we had 24 players at this Texas Masters. Oh, 32, I apologise. And the current Texas Master, drum roll, if you're watching this on YouTube, from everyone at home, is Ryan Rutherford with his Soulblight Gravelords list. He took Neferata with Spell for Ignoring Rend, Necromancer, a Vampire Lord with Tunnel Master, a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, with the Command Trait Master of Magic and not Doom Minions, which I think is pretty interesting. 2 units of 10 Direwolves and a unit of 20 Deadwalker Zombies, and then 2 units of 20 Graveguard. So he has 3 major threats, the 20 Graveguard, there's 2 lots of them, and also the Vampire and Zombie Dragon. Everything else is either buffing, like Neferata and the Necromancers, or screening, like the Direwolves and the Deadwalker Zombies. A massive congratulations to him. Matt Taylor with his OCR Bone Reapers came second and went 4-1. And the rest of the 4-1s are Marcus Miller with his Soulblight Gravelords, Marco Hernandez with his Gloomspite Gits, Brian Lofton with his Blaze of Khorne, Benjamin Richardson with his Hostess Nesh went 3-2, but I've read it out, so he scraped in. Well done to him. Hope everyone in Texas had a great time. Move on to the next event. Our next event is the 2d6 Oslo Hammer, the best of the worst. This is pretty fun. It was in Norway, and it was organised by Mark Nielsen. Now, some of you might not speak Norwegian. I do. The event details go on to describe the fact that because the Age of Sigmar World Championships was on while this event was running, then the better players in their gaming club 2d6, one of the largest gaming clubs, by the way, in the world, they were all away playing in the World Championships. They were like, finally, yeah, the mid-tier gods, we can do this. We can put ourselves out there. And so they organised an event amongst themselves to be the best of the worst. And the event was won by Eric Svensson, who was running Flesh Eater Courts. He had a Blister Skin army with a Borant Ghoul King on Royal Zombie Dragon, an Arc Regent, a Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist, and then a Ghoul King. Then he had a unit of Crypt Flayers and 2 units of Crypt Ghouls. So he just had some major threats in the Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist there, and the Borant Ghoul King on Royal Zombie Dragon as well. So he has lots of like big damage there, and then that big massive unit of Crypt Flayers, a unit of 9, 550 points. With in the Galician Veterans Battalion, so they can fight in 2 ranks, doing lots of screams into low bravery units, and then just doing lots and lots of mortal wounds, stacking all the attacks from the Arc Regent to add plus D3 attacks, and the Ghoul King can add an additional +1, so up to 4 attacks. Really useful to then also cast a spell on them in the new GHB to make those guys Rend 3. That would be great. So congratulations to Eric Svensson. Mark Nielsen, the organiser of the event, came second, and he went 4-1, and he was running Soulblight Gravelords of Rycross Dynasty. Big congratulations to him and everyone at the event. Our next event is the Death and Destruction GT in the USA, which featured 17 players battling it out. in this wonderful strip mall here, Summer Hill Plaza. They battled it out at the Hobbit Hobbies, having got themselves a tattoo, a gun at the smoking guns rack, got their poodle groomed, and bought themselves some tobacco. Just a fantastic place. The event was organised in North Carolina by Dan Guishwind, and the event was won by the amazing Fabian Babus, running Blades of Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance. So he had in his army a Scarbrand, a Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury, Bloodsecrator, a Romgor Ritualist, Scarbloodwrath, and a Bloodmaster Herald of Khorne. He had 3 units of 10 Blood Reavers, and he had a unit of Skull Reapers. A unit of 10 is the important part. So giving out a lot of Blood Tithe to be able to power up those major threats in the Skull Reapers, and also Scarbloodwrath. A big congratulations also to Michael Schlegelmilch, who went 4-1 with his Stormcast Eternals, Hammers of Sigmar army. The next event is a Games Workshop run event, the US Open Kansas City Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament with 16 players. Let me just get that right. Yes, correct. With 16 players. And the event was organised by several people, but it looks like Zach Rockner. Shout out to Zach. Hope you had a lovely time. Zach allowed Frederick didn't even get stopped. Frederick won the event, going 5-0 with his Caradron Overlord's army. He was running Barak Zilfin, and he had an Aether-Chemist, an Admiral, and Brock Grungson. And then he had a frigate, a unit of 15 Thunderers, 10 Arcanaut Company, and an Ironclad, and would you believe it, a Soulstream Bridge, and some Endrid Riggers in his list as well. So he would be able to teleport over his unit of Thunderers in the bridge. His Ironclad can run around as well, and his Endrid Riggers can heal his Ironclad. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. In the 4-1 bracket, Andrew Johnson was able to get a 4-1 with his Legion of Blood, and El Miller was able to get a 4-1 with his Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne army. Congratulations to all of those players. Our next event is the Straight Edge Wargaming GT in Sweden. It's a fantastic looking place. Look at this. For podcast listeners, I'm describing what looks to be an idyllic place where only dreams and joy occur, is what I'm currently describing. It was won by Adam Saff and the Soulblight Gravelords. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it was organised by Johan Baranda. So shout out to Johan. I'm pretty certain he's in the chat. And yeah, Adam Saff, as I said, won the event with Soulblight Gravelords. He's got in his list Neferata. Apparently there are 1 billion Neferatas now. Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon with 2 minions and the Cloak of Mist and Shadows. A Vampire Lord on foot. A White King. And then 2 units of 40 Deadwalker Zombies. A unit of 20. And then 20 Graveguard. So obviously loads of output from the zombies. They're also a good meat shield as well. All the output that you can also get from the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. And then Neferata to make units unrenderable. Specifically, I don't know who she would make unrenderable actually. Maybe herself. Anyway, just Neferata being really good. But this is post errata, so thank you very much. In the 4-1 bracket, we had Ramsus Helkvist running his Slaves of Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne army. And then a shout out to everyone at that event. I hope they had a lovely time. The organizer seems wonderful. And if you get any chances to go to what seems to be an idyllic event in Sweden, then please do go check it out. Our next event is the Cryptic Cabin GT, being held with 8 players in England. Now, we didn't actually get a close-up of this, but it took place in the Cryptic Cabin miniature shop located in Warfield. Now, pretty excitingly, this event is also right next to the Mystical Stone gift shop, the Biltong Emporium, and also the leather shop and the Gornstone barbecue shop. So it's kind of like the perfect place to finish a game of Warhammer, pick yourself up some mystical stones, visit the creative farming and memorabilia gift shop, and then get yourself some biltong to chew on. Pretty gangster. The event was won though by, it was organised by Russell Offord. Thanks Russell for organising the event. Sounds great, please invite me. And it was won by Ken Keane, running his Lumineth Realm Lords army. He got 4 wins and a draw, so congratulations to him. And he wasn't just running a Techless Castle. Instead, he had a Cenarian Lightner, which is awesome. He had a Cenari Lore Seeker, an Alarith Stone Mage, and then the Light of Altharion. Very topical, as it's currently been winning World Championships. Then a unit of 10 Wardens twice, and then a unit of 20 Sentinels mixed with a Star Shard Ballista. Rune of Petrification, Gnashing Jaws, and Twin Stones. And then a unit of 10 Stone Guard and 5 Blade Lords. A complete cornucopia of units, which is pretty phenomenal. So congratulations to him. That's brilliant. And then Tom Newton, with his Soulblight Gravelords, was able to go 4-1. So congratulations to him and everyone at the Cryptic Cabin GT. Hope you had a great time. Our next event is a massive 72-player event in Australia, the Sydney Slaughter, organised by an absolutely wonderful group of people. I don't know how they all fit them inside this gaming centre, but they did. Organised by Chris Welfare of the Mortally Wounded podcast. Huge fan of Chris Welfare, I am. Dan Brewer and James Mabry. Thanks to those guys for organising what was probably a brilliant event. The event was won by Mr. Terence Voller. Now, Terence was running a Hedonites of Slaanesh army, and he was from the sub-faction Pretender's Host. He had a Lord of Pain, he had Be'lakor, and a Great Bray Shaman as an ally. And then he had 22 Blissbarb Archers, 4 times, for 88 Blissbarb Archers, for, as the chat helping me write, 180 shots at Rend 1. Don't forget, obviously, with the Blissbarb Seekers, he's got a unit of 5 of those as well. Can make that Rend 2 effectively, because of what you can do. Use Be'lakor to shut a unit down. Don't forget, you're going to be able to... Oh no, because he's not Pretenders. He can't even stand to shoot 3 times. Can he? Lol. Okay, no problem. Amazing. Oh no, he is Pretenders. Never mind. Ignore me. So he can stand to shoot 3 times with 3 of those units. So I guess screen with them and then just shoot a million shots. Shoot loads of shots. All the shots. Which is incredible. Why the Bray Shaman? He's cheap. He's 95 points. And you can put Tunnel Master on him, which is pretty good. I don't think you can get a 95-point hero in Slaanesh, and that gives you a first turn ability to do Cunning Maneuver, which is a battle tactic. So I think that's probably that, to be honest. And then in the 4-1 bracket, you had Mitch Bug with his Gloomspike Gits, Ben Spinetti. Ben Spinetti also went 5-0 with his Carriage and Overlords Barak Urbaz. Sorry, there must be some soft scores moving stuff around, but special shout out to Ben Spinetti, who also took a picture of his list. Yikes. Who's got an Argonaut Admiral, a Chemist, a Navigator, Code Right, 2 Engine Masters with Engine Harnesses, 20 Argonaut Company, 3 Engine Riggers twice, a Gun Hauler, 6 Sky Wardens, 3 Sky Wardens, 5 Thunderers, and an Argonaut Frigate. So an MSU KO army with multiple Engine Masters and an Argonaut Frigate. Amazing. Bob Van Emmerich with his Soulbright Gravelords went 4-1. Matthew Campbell went 4-1. Thomas with his Blades of Khorne. Thomas Oliver with Maggot King and Nurgle went 4-1. Ash McEwen went 4-1 with his Disciples Zinch, Guild of Summoners Army. Now, I've met Chris Welfare several times. He's a superstar, and if you ever get the chance to go to one of these Sydney events, then I would encourage you to do so, because they're brilliant and he's brilliant. So I hope everyone had a great time at the event. Our next event is the Summer of Sigmar 2, being organised in the USA with 44 different players. Our winner was Jeremy Lefebvre with his Hedonites of Slaanesh list. The event was organised by Jason Flanzer, and it was being held here at the... Oh, let me just double check the name again. I want to make sure it's right. The Gamers Guild AZ gaming venue. Now, the Slaanesh list that did really well was the Hedonites of Slaanesh God Seekers list. It was a Lord of Pain, an Infernal Rapturous, Keeper of Secrets, Sigvald, the Mask, and also a Lord of Pain. And then 2 units of 11 Blissbarb Archers, a unit of 5 Twin Souls, a unit of minimum 5 Blissbarb Seekers, and 5 Slickblade Seekers. So, pretty interesting, I'm going to say. Very minimal units on the front line. And then Keeper of Secrets obviously makes Sigvald fight twice, so getting a lot of depravity via that way. Keeper of Secrets legitimately a threat themselves. So yeah, pretty interesting. Oh, and then yes, there's some Galician sharpshooters on the Blissbarb Archer, so I think that's probably quite useful as well. Very interesting list. You absolutely love to see it, especially like Slaanesh lists being slightly different, more hero heavy. It's quite fun. Then Mason Knox with 4 and a draw with Soulbight Gravelords. And then Roman Silva with Soulbight Gravelords, 4 and a draw. Aaron Newbon with his Idoneth Deepkin going 4-1. Jed Spears with his Fire Slayers going 4-1. Shane Lambert going 4-1 with his Disciples of Tzeentch, Guild of Summoners. So, again, Sinesh doing really, really well. A special shout out to Jeremy. Well done, you superstar. Our next event is over in Australia. The No Holds Barred GT, organised by The Failed Charge, which is a great podcast. If you get the chance to listen to it, please do. Absolutely brilliant. And being held in Australia. Being held actually at this lovely hotel, the Alexandria Hills, in Queensland, Australia. So 37 players battled it out to be the No Holds Barred champion. It was organised by Carwyn Llewellyn, who's also brilliant. I got to meet him several times, and he's just great. The event was won by Aaron Gench, running the Disciples of Tzeentch list. He has Guild of Summoners, so obviously you can summon lots of change. We've got Kairos, Fate Weaver, an Ogroid Thermitage, a Curseling, 2 units of 10 Pink Horrors, 3 units of 10 Carrick Acolytes, and a unit of a unit of Zangor Enlightened on Disc of Tzeentch, and then Umbral Spell Portal, Tome of Eyes, and the Burning Head. So Tzeentch just very good on the primary, especially with 2 units of pinks. Has a little small unit to go and take out a key enemy unit in those Zangor Enlightened, and then just summoning Lords of Change as fast as his spellcasting could take him. In the 4-1 bracket, Zenith Mills Shorter went 4-1 with Soulbright Gravelords. Gavin Woodrow with his Gloomspite Gits. Quinn Gorlick with his Seraphon Thunder Lizard, which is a legitimately fantastic result for Seraphon at the moment. So well done to Quinn and everyone at the event. I hope they had a lovely time. And if you do get the chance to go to Brisbane to play, you should. Our next event is the Clash of Swords 2023 event organised by the founder of Age of Sigmar, Mo Ashraf. A special congratulations to him on just being perfect in every way. He had 34 players playing at his event, the Clash of Swords. If you don't know what I mean, there is a video you can check out on the Honest Wargamer called The Founding of Age of Sigmar if you want to go check it out. But yeah, Clash of Swords 2023, 34 players playing at the event. The winning player was Joseph McGough with his Disciples of Tzeentch, Guild of Summoners again. And he was running Kairos Fate Weaver, a Gaunt Summoner of Tzeentch, a Curseling, and a Fate Master. And then he was running a unit of 20 Pink Horrors, 2 units of Carrick Acolytes, and then a unit of Screamers of Tzeentch with the Umbral Spell Portal and the Tome of Eyes. So, like I've said a lot, being able to just hold the primary really well is very good, especially with a massive unit of pinks. Then using all the summoning points that you get from all the casters to get a lot of summoning, and then get a lot of points and summon more Lords of Change to battle it out against this army. So massive congratulations to Joe. Alex Tubb went 4-1 with his OCR Bone Reapers. Aaron Boyhan went 4-1 with his OCR Bone Reapers. Rowan Keemers also went 4-1 with his Disciples of Tzeentch, Host Arcanum. Going into round 4, there was actually a 4-way Bone Reaper mirror match. He had 2 tables where all 4 players were playing Bone Reapers in a mirror. Pretty funny in my opinion. It was great. If you do get the chance to go to Firestone Home Games, which is located in Cardiff, or go to an event organised by Mo, both of which are great. So I would encourage you to do so. Our next event is a Coast Hammer 2023 that happened in the USA with 22 players. It was located here in Hoquiam, and the event was organised by Jason Bird. So shout out Jason. I hope you had a lovely time. Thanks so much. And the first place winner was Chris Lamoy with his Soulblight Gravelords. But don't fear, there's no Neferata in this list. Instead, there's Manfred von Karstein, because it's Legion of Night, not Legion of Blood. A Necromancer, a Vampire Lord, 3 units of 10 direwolves, 30 skeletons, some zombies, and then 2 units of 20 Graveguard. As I was just saying to the chat, what can beat 2 units of 20 Graveguard at the moment? They're just winning everything. In second place was Matthew Kangisser, going 4-1 with his Seraphon Dracothian's Tail. Dale Johnson with his Gloomspite Gits with the Jaws of Mork. And then Phil Zoshak with his Fireslayer's Greyfjord army. Absolutely brilliant work for everyone there. Hope they had a lovely time. Looks like there's a lot of charm in Hoquiam. In that town, and I'd love to visit one day. Our next event is a new event in the Age of Sigmar roster, but it will be an ongoing one, Falcon. If you're somewhere in Canada and you want to go to Moncton and go and hang out with one of the best people on earth, Peter Colosimo, the Falcon, then you can go and play Age of Sigmar with a bunch of legends. The event was won by Frederick. There we go. And here's a picture of him with his Best Sports trophy and one of his best friends, Mr. Tristan. And what a great trophy. Absolutely wonderful. It was the first 2-day event that's ever happened in the Maritimes in Canada. So a special shout out to Pete for organising it. He should be super proud. Looking at what Frederick's list was, though, you can see that he was running a Flesh Eater Courts Blisterkin list. Don't forget, that's our second Flesh Eater Courts 5.0 and also our second Frederick going 5.0. So nerf Frederick, please. Crypthaunt Courtier, an Arborant Arc Regent, an Abhorrent Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist, and then a Crypt Infernal Courtier, and then 1 unit 6 Crypt Horrors, 1 unit of 9 Crypt Flayers, another unit of 6 Crypt Horrors, and then some Crypt Ghouls. So as we talked about with the other Flesh Eater Courts list, well, actually, no, there's been 3, hasn't there? One of them just used a bunch of big monsters. This used like the ability to stack loads of attacks on those big units of 9 Crypt Flayers, all those units of Crypt Horrors, and then just do lots of damage that way, which I think is super interesting. So great work there, and it should be super chuffed. In the 4-1 bracket, Jean-Christophe Vallee with his OCR Bone Reapers went 4-1, and then Tristan Gray with his Lethician Defenders list went 4-1. You love to see it. Amazing stuff for Tristan. Long-time friend of mine and superstar. I'm really happy that he was able to get a 4-1 at, I think, his first ever 2-day event. So, like, legitimate, excellent work. Might be his second or third. So, amazing work for him. Well done. Our second last event is the Realm Quaker Age of Sigmar 2,000 point weekend tournament, being organised by Cameron. Special shout out to him for doing a great job, and Matt from the Birmingham Wargaming Collective, I think. There were 14 players, and this was in the USA. Is that right? That's not in the USA. The Bristol. This isn't in USB. This is definitely the UK. It was being held here in the UK at this venue, and the event was won by Tim Murray with his OCR Bone Reapers Crematoriums army. Shout out to him. He was running OCR Bone Reapers Crematoriums. Don't forget they explode and do mortal wounds. Leech Cavalos, Mortals and Bone Shaper, Ark in the Black. Some Death Riders, 6 Stalkers, 6 of Mortis Guard, and then a unit of Mortek Guard in there as well. So instead of having Catacross in there, he's got Ark in the Black, the Bone Shaper with the Artisan's Key for the healing, and then all of those units are going to explode, and then there's some healing coming out of the Bone Shaper and Arcan. Not having Catacross is an interesting choice. And also special shout out to, there was a spare player who filled in at the last moment with an all steam tank army in the very last moment. And he did really well. The Bucket of Grots is his name, and he smashed it. He is brilliant. That's who he is. All steam tanks as a spare player. What a legend. In the 4-1 bracket, Jamie Denny was running the Sylvaneth Heartwood list, so he should be super happy. And it was Matt Everett with his Cities of Sigmar, Living City, all steam tank army that almost got a win. If you'd like to know what an all steam tank army looks like, let me tell you. It's a steam tank commander, and then it's another steam tank commander, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steam tanks, a unit of 3 Guild Handgunners, a unit of 20, and then 2 Hellblaster volley guns. Right? We're just hearing in the chat that all 8 steam tanks shot at Archeon, and they did 2 damage. Stunning. And brave, which is the best part. Well done to everyone there. The final event, how did he do it, is run by me. The Defence of Lethis was organised by me at the TSN Arena here in Nottingham, and it was won by Mr. Declan McKittrick with his Blades of Khorne Flayed Army with his unsubmitted list. But the crux of the list was that he had 3 units of 6 Skull Crushers. 3 units of 6 Skull Crushers in his list. So I think that's a ton of mortal. That's something like 90 wounds on a... No, 2 6s and 2 4s, sorry. No, sorry, 2 6s and 2 3s. But either way, I think it ends up as like 90 wounds on a 2-up armor save, which is pretty amazing. So those skulls were indeed crushed. I want to also shout out all the players: Josh Jenkins, Leo, Andy Ransom, Andy Bunnin, and Josh Bunnin, specifically because they played the Defensive Lethis Battle Pack, which included Twists of Turns as the first mission. Then we had the wonderful and awesome Realmstone Cache as the second mission. The third mission was the Great Lurkers Below. The fourth mission was just the pretty normal Prize of Galette. And then the fifth mission was a secret mission, which they only found out during the fifth battle round, which was Twists and Turns again. That's right, double Twists and Turns to round off this GHB, first and last. What a great group of lads. They had a great time. Well, I hope they had a great time. I tried to make them have a good time. Did really, really well. So, that is 52 events covered over the course of today. And if for some reason you're still watching this video or listening to this podcast, I want to thank you for getting this far. I want to thank Rob and Ziggy again for the stats that they produce and also helping me build this show and the Twitch chat. There we go. Meta thoughts are going to take a little bit more time to formalize, I think, because there are loads of things to break down. I did look at the meta stats before I started the show, and I don't think I'm going to just stick that on the end of this video. I'm going to put that into a different video. I know that a lot of the new books, like Soulbight Gravelord's Khorne, featured really heavily in lots of, and Sanesh, in lots of the chats that we were having about the 5.0s. There's a good conversation that people are still learning how to play against those newer books. I think that's fair, and some of those books do seem really strong, like Carnage and Overlords. But we're about to go into a new GHB, and also we're about to go into a points change for lots of those units as well. So while I definitely will do a recap of the meta over the past 6 months, because we will have something like 150 events or something crazy in our stats when we finally do get this GHB out of the way, I think that it's fair to say that the whole game is still exhilaratingly new. There's loads of new armies, lists, and playstyles to play, especially with the new General's Handbook coming out. And I think that's brilliant. I think the thing that is my takeaway from today, having recorded this over the course of 7 hours, is that the enthusiasm and excitement that you can see from the players to say, hey, that was me, I went 4-1, or hey, that was me, that was my second ever event and I won a game, or hey, we started a new little gaming club here and there. Sure, loads of the events I read out were just 8 people in some place or 12 people in some place. But that's pretty much all you need to have a great time playing Age of Sigmar. And it's wicked to see the community growing. And I said that at the beginning of the show. 50% growth on last year is pretty wild, especially because we're not in a new edition cycle. So we're getting towards, I guess, the end of the edition, and you think maybe it would slow down, but it seems to be picking up, which is really exciting, and I like that. And I think that's got to go down to a lot of the community leaders. There's loads of really good clubs and gaming communities that are really pushing their communities forward. So that's wicked to see. I definitely will do an actual meta deep dive, not just a thoughts and feelings deep dive, which I've just done now. Later on in the week, so do keep your eyes open for that. But obviously, with new GHB news dropping soon, and more info, there's all go on that front as well. So Age of Sigmar, in my opinion, is in a thrilling place. Loads of great games to play, loads of exciting matchups, and as we saw from the Age of Sigmar World Team Championships, loads of lists still to play at the highest competitive level, and that aren't cookie cutter net lists and beat other people that were expecting them not to do as well. So pretty good. It's been lovely hanging out, and if you've enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, subscribe on YouTube podcast. You could leave us a review on the podcast if you fancy, and if you do, you could always support us on Patreon. So loads of love, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it.